Hello, and welcome to Nokia's LinkedIn Live with Microsoft. So today, we're discussing market drivers for our AVA AI for video-based services solution. My name is Stephanie Gibbons. Joining me today are a few of our leading experts here at Nokia. We have Daniele Brancato, Head of Cognitive Customer-Centric Operations at Nokia. We have Nabil Hamidi, Head of Analytics, Delivery, Services, and Care, also in our Cloud and Network Services. And I'd like to offer a huge thank you to Rick Lovato, Worldwide CTO from Microsoft Telecommunications. We're really glad you could join us today, Rick.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. This is an exciting area for operators, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks.
So let's jump right in. So video and gaming. They're two of the fastest growing and considered one of the most lucrative mobile services, but they're also among the most difficult to deliver at high quality. So we have estimates of mobile video use doubling each year, and it could account for up to 80% of all mobile traffic. So with these numbers in mind, it's critical for CSPs to really offer that best quality of experience, right? Especially as today's gamers are changing and their demands are evolving, and especially if CSPs want to really monetize those 5G investments. So let's move into this discussion. And Daniele, let me start with you.
Okay.
Why is video and gaming important for today's CSPs? And what do you believe are some of the biggest challenges they're facing in delivering these applications?
All right. Thanks, Stephanie. So definitely video is one of the killer applications nowadays in CSP data. Let me say that video is just not meant to be the video streaming that everybody is used to see every day at home with the popular applications as YouTube, Netflix, or similar, but it is, let's say, a wide concept. We have buffered video, so the video streaming from OTTs. Then we have the real-time video that can be application as we are using today, right now. So LinkedIn Live video, it's still video. We have applications like popular applications like Teams or Zoom or WebEx, still video. But then we have also mission critical video for enterprise and as well for the industry. So video is also covering the social aspect of gaming, which is absolutely growing and taking into consideration different aspects, not only just the video itself, but as well how fast you get the content for the players to play the game. So consider all these aspects of video and how big the portion is in the data of the CSP networks. We have to define then what is the quality of experience for these users. So according to the different applications, there are several aspects to consider. First aspect of the quality of experience is that it has to be part of a standard, so it must be a standard. So the definition of quality experience, it cannot be proper to the vendor, to the industry that is at the moment analyzing the video traffic. So consider that it has to be, let's say, a standardized measure. We have let's say, three aspects to consider. First of all, how the video is streamed to the end users, so how the video bitrate is perceived, then how fast the content is sent to the end user application, and as well, once the user is watching the content, how frequent he gets interruption or video freezes. So all these aspects are, let's say, the glue of the quality of experience. And let me say that to measure these aspects today, it is, let's say, definitely a problem, because most popular applications that are nowadays in the handsets of many people or in the smart TVs of many people are using encrypted protocols, which means that if I am looking at the user playing with the probe, I can get for sure the data volume, I can get the throughput of the application, I can, let's say, identify the application itself. But then to identify the quality experience becomes really challenging. And more challenging, considering that also the vendors, the OTT vendors, are changing the way of transmission very rapidly. In the last 2 years, I saw many players changing their protocols and optimizing, of course, the protocol to minimize the data volume that they are sending, highlighting, of course, the quality of the content. And this creates, let's say, an headache for the CSPs to analyze this content, because at the end, so in order to make sure that you establish the quality experience, you have to analyze the packets, identify an inference model that gets the quality of experience in terms of freezes, of delays, in terms of video resolution. And this is changing constantly. So this is, let's say, the biggest challenge that today the CSPs have in looking at the quality of experience for all these aspects. And then on gaming, if especially, it is, let's say, there is one more dimension to consider, which is the reliability of the connection, or how fast the user are sending the data to the servers, to the cloud servers. And so there is not only the audio video components, but as well how fast the information is sent through the network to then be the first one in the game. So of course, a game with a poor connection has less chance to win against someone that is connected to 4G or to 5G.
Understood. Yep. You're talking about those demands and how those are changing quite rapidly right now. So thanks for that. Nabil, how about I turn it over to you so you can continue with the Nokia view there.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And first of all, thank you for having me here. It's really my pleasure to be part of this discussion, Stephanie. So thanks a lot. And I would like also to take advantage of this opportunity to thank Rick and the Microsoft team that has been working very, very closely with us. I think we took a decision a couple of years ago to invest in this area, and we are happy to see that it was a good decision to bet on such challenge that CSPs are already facing since some time. If I can complement what Daniele said before, I would take it from more social part of it. I think video in general and gaming in particular moved from a hobby to the world's most profitable part of the entertainment. I think I'm not discovering anything new. So it's something that is part of our life. It's part of the transformation that the society is going through. A couple of years ago, we started in Nokia looking at the how to attract and how to keep motivation in a generation called millennial. Then we continue with the generation Z, and I think that was really an eye opener to us. There are many research, many investigation people are aware of this domain, but if I'm allowed to throw a couple of figures here that will help us to understand how important is this quality of experience to the CSPs, has become to the CSPs. 32% will stop doing business with the brand they love after one single bad experience. So we talk about really, the bar is really high. Another number would be that 46% will abandon the video after 2 buffering. Only 2 buffering, you are not happy. I think many of us have been through that frustration while watching a movie. So the last number I would like to bring is, at least last year, it was estimated there are more than 2 billion gamers in the world. 2 billion is actually a huge, huge number. And all of them are very demanding. It's not only gaming. Also, when it comes to other video platform that Daniele was explaining at the beginning, there are many different video applications. And we see even now in the new segment, journalists are using Twitch on their daily basis, and people are following those streamers to take decisions. These influencers to take decision either in the professional or in the private life. So definitely, CSPs have understood that we are living in a new era of consuming data, and the consumers of data are themselves generating data. So has flourished from just a popular pastime, I would say, watching videos or gaming, into a focal point of entertainment. Hence, it's very, very important to ensure the quality of experience in order to avoid, I would say, one of the biggest challenges, which is churn, that many CSPs are facing.
100%. I definitely relate to that buffering comment that you made, or that buffering data point. Rick, how would you add to this?
No, absolutely. And I follow Nabil on TikTok. He's got a great channel, so I definitely concur with him. But the rise of video. I mean, is there really any doubt, though, that video and gaming are really important because they are the future of the network, right? I mean, it gets to that, down to the point. You need to be investing. You need to be looking into the future. And, think of the metaverse as an example. Now, if you ask a room full of people to explain to you what the metaverse is, you'll probably get a dozen different answers, right? Or as many answers as there is people. But the one thing that I think we all agree on is that the metaverse builds and expands on today's digital technologies, including video, including gaming, because the metaverse really brings all of that together. It kind of builds on video, builds on gaming. And tech companies like Meta, like Microsoft, we've been investing big on metaverse technologies and experiences. But guess what? All these things come together and are going to be delivered over your network. And so the question is your network ready for an influx of applications that are really going to push the boundaries in terms of bandwidth, latency, jitter, quality of service? Because ultimately, these are the types of applications that are going to require a smarter network. They're going to require a network that's able to autonomously take action, to reconfigure services and routes, to provide the best user experience. And this is the type of intelligence that requires a couple of things. One, data, and lots of it, because you're going to need to ingest tremendous amounts of data of real-time events in order to make decisions instantly or near real time. And two, you're going to need programmability, right? Your network will need to provide APIs that enable client applications to reconfigure services dynamically as needed. And so to address a lot of these requirements, Microsoft recently joined the Telecom Infra Projects TIP, the Metaverse Ready Networks Group. And our primary objective there is to accelerate the development of solutions and development of architectures that enhance network readiness to support these types of metaverse experiences. And we're also working with industry partners on network API initiatives like Project Camara, which is now part of the Linux Foundation. This is the global network APIs. And through these types of APIs, telcos can now expose the network capabilities that clients can consume. And by simplifying how you do this, again, in a consistent manner with standard APIs, you reduce a lot of the network complexity. You make all these APIs available to your client applications over your networks, and it really, Camara makes it easy and seamless to gain access. And so to deliver this next generation of experiences, whether it's the metaverse or whatever comes next, clearly video and gaming are going to play a foundational part.
I really hear that, especially around the technology innovation, the software innovation, to move things forward to the next opportunity. But in the meantime, we still have a question that we want to ask around monetization. So with Daniele, I'm going to pick on you for this one. How do you believe CSPs are going to monetize their investments in 5G with these video and gaming applications?
So definitely 5G is the application of choice, of the technology of choice to use video. Definitely because of the low latency, high bandwidth, and the opportunity to stream data at high throughput. Definitely this is a must-have to watch good video for gaming, for real-time video, for OTT buffered video kind of type. One of the killer applications, let me say, that can monetize the investment over 5G is the use of fixed wireless access. So let me say that this will be a source of revenues for most of the CSPs investing in 5G. And probably I'm here understanding that 5G, not just as a 5G not standalone, but really at 5G standalone. I look really at the ultimate generation of 5G. And this technology can get really the best when used together with the fixed wireless access, especially because you can reach a remote location, urban location, and you can provide high bandwidth to many users without putting the fiber. And then when the users have the access to the fixed wireless access CPE, they can surely use their smart TVs, they can use the tablets, they can use their home devices to watch video, to play games at the quality they need. And definitely this is a must-have investment for the operators.
Understood. Thank you. Nabil, how about I move over to you?
Yeah, thanks. I think it's top of mind of everybody that CSPs are under tremendous pressure when it comes to the cost, when it comes to the investment they are making. They want to monetize them, but also to the quality of experience. I think they go together. Last week I was in Saudi attending a LEAP conference, LEAP 2023. So I had a chance to talk to many customers, to many players in the industry, and it was very visible that this is really a focus of many organizations. Just knowing that 80% of traffic is video, it's already giving us an indication why this should be a priority. Concepts like latency, input lag, jittering are causing problems to gamers that they cannot afford, really. I learned last week in one of the discussion we had that gamer expect less than 5 milliseconds between the actions and the gameplay. Not only gaming, also video. The consumers, that they don't have the tolerance to wait for 2, 3, 4 buffering. Rick said that he's following me on TikTok, so I feel the pressure on not giving him any buffering when I'm doing any session. So I really understand that this is an area that operators are using it now as an experience to see what they can extend this video application. So 5G, multi-vendor, radio, fixed. We talk also about fixed wireless access. Really the end-to-end view of video performance and user behaviors are triggering areas where we could gelocate those video experiences, where we could trigger root cause analysis. So definitely, in order to monetize, we see the CSPs with Nokia are partnering with third party, having alignment with public administration, going into new verticals, smart factories, smart cities. Like the colleague said before, there are many other industrial applications. I think after COVID, there is nobody who can live or in a business without Zoom or Teams. I was myself last weekend in a museum where I saw part of it, or most of it, was done with the virtual reality. So definitely there are many verticals that CSPs are trying to learn as quick as possible from video and gaming in order to replicate those assets into other segments.
Understood. No, that vertical integration is really interesting. For that type of focus. Rick, how would you answer this question?
Those were, thank you, Stefania. Those were really interesting points, Nabil. So I have a son who's a gamer, and he can tell the difference between a 60 hertz refresh rate on his monitor to 120 to 240. He can't even use a 60 hertz refresh rate anymore, right? It hurts his eyes. It's incredible. So if they're that sensitive to hardware, that's they have complete control of it, that's on their desk. Imagine the sensitivity they have to jitter or latency over the network, right? It's up to another level. And so as we've heard earlier, and we've heard many times in this session, video is by far the dominant traffic type of the internet, right? And this has been the case since the introduction of 4G networks. But with 5G, not only will the volume of video continue to increase, but there's also going to be many new solutions for industries where operators can monetize, from retail to manufacturing to healthcare, public sector. And in all cases, they're really infusing deep learning and AI across video analytics scenarios. And so consider use cases like traffic management or accident avoidance, where clearly you have a camera that's looking into a road. Factory safety, where you're now detecting employees out on your factory floor. Are they following protocol for safety? Are they wearing their gear, their hard hats, for example? Again, another video scenario. If you're managing customer queues in a retail store by a cash register, again, video scenario. You have a camera that's looking and taking action. Maybe a learning manager. We need to open another register. All those types of scenarios and all these use cases really takes a live video stream. It's going to perform some sort of video analytics around it. It's going to react or raise some kind of alert or event. And so we have this symbiotic evolution of video analytics, edge computing, which we haven't really talked about yet, but that's going to be a big part of this deal. And it's providing opportunities for operators to really offer new services, which they can now monetize with their customers. And one quick example I'll cite is we launched last year Azure Public MEC service, the multi-access edge compute capability, with our partner AT&T. And this really is a service that marries Azure computing, storage, network alongside the 5G network. So essentially your 5G applications are only one hop away from Azure on the network. And it really enables low latency applications at the edge of the mobile operator's network. The solution was really designed to run AI, to run machine learning workloads that really require a lot of these intensive compute and low latency network capabilities. And of course, you access these resources over your high quality 5G network, and it could be phones, smart cameras, IoT devices, and sorts. But not surprisingly, the first customer use cases that we're seeing on this platform all require video processing, video analytics, video quality service at the edge, right? And so for these kinds of reasons, we think that real-time video analytics is really the killer app for not only 5G, but for edge computing as a whole.
That leads us so well into the next question, Rick. And Nabil, I'm going to ask this of you. We just talked about how we're going to be bringing these services closer to the edge, closer to that customer. In your view, what data is needed to really enhance this quality of experience?
Actually, it's a very good question, Stephanie, because as Rick and Daniela have been explaining before, this is of utmost importance now in the highest, I would say, position in any agenda, any investment area for any customer. And we are used to, it's like when I explained about the generational paradigm shift, is the same here. We were used to, in 4G, 3G, to configuration management data, to performance management data, to fault management data, CMPM, FM. But now we have much more comprehensive and complex set of data required, because now we don't talk about quality of service, we talk about quality of experience, which means we go at the level of subscriber satisfaction, different metrics when it comes to using one app or one OTT. So we are trying to learn and understand what someone is, the son of Rick, for instance, what he's experiencing while watching a movie in Netflix or doing TikTok or even gaming. So that, as you can imagine, requires much more complexity set of data. So data that provides video events to analyze certain metrics, KPIs, and KQIs that matter from the end user perspective. So I could mention some of them that for sure Daniele can explain more. We talk about freezes, we talk about play delay, we talk about negative video bitrate transition, buffering, already mentioned, video start failure, etc., etc., etc. So there are so many items, metrics that explain what is the behavior of a subscriber. They are different from application to application, and definitely that requires data from different parts of the network: control plane, OSS user plane, cell tracing, etc., etc. Let me just highlight before I finish in this point that in Nokia Business Application Analytics, we launched last year what we call NOAA, Nokia Open Analytics. With that framework, one important part of it, one important layer is the data acquisition. So as I explained, it's not just about CMPM, FM like we used to have in 3G, 4G. Is about much more complexity, architecturally talking, and also the data input. We have different vendors in core, different vendors in radio. We have different cloud vendors. So definitely we need a standard, harmonized standard framework for data acquisition. And with Nokia Open Analytics, we really support the customer with that in order to simplify the way how to get the data and acquire it from different points.
Point taken. And all that rolls up into that delineation you made around quality of the experience. So I think that that's a conversation that's going to get louder in the coming year. Daniele, how would you add to this question?
Yeah, well, let me, let's say a little more over what Bill just said. First of all, the data that needs to be used to understand the video quality experience has to be end-to-end. End-to-end means that you need to capture every single message from the device up to the internet. This means that you need to have several data points of capture, one on the interface, then the transport, the calling, core, and then CDN internet. So you require a very complex system of data acquisition, which then has to be correlated per user. And here becomes the difficulties because when you have so many different data collectors, also coming from third-party companies, not always being the same company owning the network or the data collectors, you have to create an ecosystem that is able to capture the data in real time analyze it, correlate it per user, and make it available in a curated way so that it is transferred then to the cloud and then ready for the AI to be applied on top, and then for the analytics to be applied on top. And this requires really special attention, especially because we emphasize the quality of the data. So the data is to be curated, anonymized. There is, let's say, a lot of to say about data privacy here, and definitely in these operations we always keep this high, and we always are compliant to all the local regulations for data privacy. But first of all, it has to be end-to-end and per subscriber. And when we do the data capturing, it's important that we keep really all the exchange messages from the device up to the CDN, because only having this such kind of data, when there is a problem related, for instance, to a video freeze, you have to go back and understand how many messages were flowing from the device up to the core network. And then you can, with AI, you can identify the root cause completely. So that's why it's important to have the data per subscriber and taking all the interfaces, all the signaling from the device up to the internet.
Thank you very much. You know, we've been talking about AI a little bit now, so I'm going to move on into that topic. And Rick, I'll put you in the hot seat for this. How do you believe artificial intelligence, how do you believe AI will help CSPs achieve this exceptional video quality we're talking about right now?
No, thanks for switching. Really interesting conversation. So there's really two areas where I think AI plays an important role in delivering this exceptional user experience that we're talking about. Clearly, ingesting and analyzing all the data, as Nabil and Daniela were discussing, is key. But first, it's around what are we trying to do here? It's optimizing the network experience, right? And some of the things you'll need there is the automation. You need programmability of the network. And you have situations where the client is going to request a specific quality of service from the network based on their need. Having a Teams call with a very important customer, boy, I want to make sure that there's no jitter, that I have the highest quality network capability there, and so I'm going to have to request that capability right before the call or during the call, right? And so that's one example. Now there's also the ability to maybe for the network to gracefully degrade the service, right? You have an example that your bandwidth is dropping for whatever reason. Maybe you have additional users that are joining the network, utilizing resources there. So the network should be able to figure that out, reconfigure itself, maybe automatically downgrade the stream to a lower encoding that's going to lead to a better performance. It's going to minimize or avoid buffering. And of course, my colleagues at Nokia here are experts in this area. We're already discussing it, so I'm going to leave it to them to add to the responses around this area. The area that I really want to touch is the second one, which is really around leveraging AI on the video content itself, on the payload. Now, there's an immense amount of things that you can do once you have access to that payload itself. First of all, is transcription. Having the ability to either real time or on demand transcribe what's going on in the audio or video event. You're able to now do translations and captioning of that video real time. You could do object detection, right? So you can figure out what's in the scene. Could be for ad ingestion or placement as well, right? We have a very sophisticated facial recognition capability that utilizes AI, right, in our vision models. And so you can recognize the speaker or the participants, the actors across the entire video stream. We've got a database of basically celebrity recognition. So we'll be able to identify, for example, public figures, actors, newscasters, again, any public figure across a database of, over 1 million people. So we can now tag the video accordingly. Now, what's the result here? You now build a huge index that's searchable across everything that's happening in that video. It's pretty amazing. And if you layer that with some of the OpenAI capabilities and their large language model that is all the rage now with ChatGPT, with OpenAI, the ability to, for example, automatically summarize, your video content, right? So it's more intuitive, more searchable, to be able to identify, what was the chief objective or the top 3 things that I would have learned. Again, with OpenAI, it's really super easy to do a lot of these capabilities. And now the result is you've built a searchable corpus that enables users to search deep inside of that content, right, across all their videos for relevant content. You can easily find people, you can find things, text, and now be able to pinpoint your users exactly in the timeline of the video as to where those things occurred. It's immensely powerful capabilities.
Excellent. It really does sound pretty broad there. I'm going to move this over now to Nabil. How would you add to this question?
No, thanks. Just to build on top of what Rick said, especially to the first part, Nokia AI for video-based services analyzes the quality of experience of subscribers while they are having, using the most popular video streams or cloud gaming application. As we said before, the change here now, it's CSPs and everyone was used to the quality of service, monitoring what is the service itself. If you look at all the KPIs, you see that everything is green. And actually I had that discussion with the 2CXO last week in that event. They said there is a mismatch between my dashboard of service. I see my network performance is really good actually, but I'm still getting a lot of complaints. I'm getting a lot of complaints when it comes to the end user, especially the perception of the end user while using those application. So that means that is rather learning from the algorithm we have in AI applied in this case to our video solution than just correlating data from different angles. And this is actually, it's very, very important to be understood because before we had drive test, before we could correlate CM, PM, FM data, but actually today we cannot afford that. We cannot send someone to the site and look at the performance of that site and then come back, analyze the data. We really need the near time, or even real time or near time kind of approach, because as we mentioned in the previous questions, the consumer is very, very demanding in that sense. If you remember, Stephanie, we had another session on energy when it comes to Eva energy solution. And there also we talk about the AI algorithm that triggered the data-driven RCA. And so the root cause analysis is triggered once we have enough learning from the behavior of the user, enough learning from the network behavior, then we start categorizing what kind of actions actually we should take in order to predict and prevent in next time those issues in the end user perception. So we can define thresholds, we can define rules that we will follow and keep learning from the network all the time. I think that's the key when it comes to how AI is bringing value here. It's really shifting again the model from something that has a lot of manual intervention, has a lot of correlation, as explained before, to something which is really living through the network and learning from such end user behavior. And definitely in all our portfolio use cases, as we explained in the previous session and today, that is actually one of the core arguments to prove that we can immediately react to any anomaly has been detected by AI, and also to predict what should be done differently in order to avoid any bad behavior from both networks and user perception.
Understood. And I think Rick said it earlier, these are technologies that are really helping underscore that migration to the autonomous network operations and service operations. So it's great to hear different types of applications that are going to start to use AI.
If you allow me, Stephanie, sorry for interrupting you, and it came to my mind, our CEO, Pekka, had the presentation last week in LEAP, and he was describing really all these new technologies, how Nokia will support the new Vision 2030 in such a region. And actually, AI, ML are playing big role there, as you mentioned, and it's a really fast-moving environment. So, sorry, just keep in mind.
That's why we're talking. We're here talking for this reason. Daniele, I'll move over to you there.
Yeah, let me say that on top of that, how AI is used today in our Nokia AI for video-based services, because we make a wide use of these AI ML techniques in our AI for video-based service use case. First, to, let's say, identify the right patterns on the quality of experience, but not limited to that, we look at the end-to-end root cause analysis. As I was mentioning before, having this end-to-end data set allow us to do a precise root cause analysis. And AI helps us also to predict in advance where there will be a next failure for a specific application in terms of quality of experience. So you can actually know in advance if an application will have a freeze or will have a delay in watching the content, or there will be a degradation on the resolution while watching the content. And then it's not over, because AI helps us to also geolocate the users while watching applications. And this is a great advantage for Nokia to geolocate the subscriber's position while watching applications, because it has a double effect. First of all, it helps a lot the CSPs in the operations in the engineering side to spot out where the user side while watching the applications that are most popular in the network. But then it can be used as a prevention factor, because as Rick was mentioning, if there will be a new application using 360 video or VR XR, then there will be an high demand of bandwidth in the network. So the operator will be shortage of capacity very soon, because that application will be a killer one, and immediately there will be a problem. The CSP will have a problem. So knowing in advance where these users are in the network, where are the hotspots of these applications, can help them tremendously to avoid such kind of problems. So we, thanks to the AI, to the possibility to geolocate the positions of the subscriber, is helping tremendously CSPs in this direction.
Absolutely. What I'm truly hearing here is that CSPs, as they're moving towards integrating AI and ML into their networks for whatever reason, they are looking for partnerships that have both that network knowledge and that software knowledge, and bringing that to them for their networks. And to kind of continue on that thought, we're going to shake things up just a little bit. And Rick, I'm going to ask this particular question of just you right now, because we're talking about networks, we're talking about software. In your view, how do you believe the use of cloud helps CSPs manage data so then they can provide this high quality video and gaming experience?
Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, that's good. So maybe, I mean, there's so many things that you could say about cloud. Let's really touch on some of the ways that the cloud can help manage data specifically, and then provide this high quality video and gaming experience that users are looking for. I think the first thing, without a doubt, is the scalability the cloud provides, right? Because now CSPs can easily start scaling their resources up or down, however it's needed, right? Use that elasticity depending on demand. And so this means that during peak times, they can quickly and efficiently allocate more computing power, more storage, more network to meet that increased demand. And then, of course, you know, if you're not using them, you're not paying for them, right? When you look at big data specifically, though, because again, this is very related to managing QoE, big data is really one of the key drivers for cloud across telcos. Again, not only around network performance, but around anything, right? And the reality is that building out large Hadoop clusters for managing all that data on-prem is very costly, very expensive, very complicated. When adding nodes, say, to a Hadoop cluster or expanding a data lake, really becomes trivial and instantaneous in the cloud. So huge benefit around scalability. The second one, I'm not gonna harp on this too long, is around cost savings. Of course, you can reduce the CapEx required for buying all these servers, all this hardware, maintaining your physical infrastructure by moving to cloud. You also have improved reliability, because now you've got access to highly available redundant systems across regions. And this is going to help ensure that video and gaming services that you're launching are available even in the event of a failure in a rack, in a data center, and even in a region, right? So you have this multi-level, multi-tier redundancy that's kind of built in that improves your reliability. You've got enhanced performance because now, what is the cloud? It's essentially a supercomputer, right? I mean, you've got access to an immense, immeasurable amount of compute. And so with access to all this high performance computing and storage resources, you know, the number of use cases that you can manage now, and the number of users and subscribers and applications that you can run is exponentially larger. This is especially, I think, important for applications that require low latency, applications that require high bandwidth, like online gaming. Security is another touch point there. The cloud really provides CSPs with a secure platform for storing all that data, for processing data, even customer information, sensitive customer data, for example. And that's going to help protect this data against data breaches. It's going to ensure that you're meeting regulatory compliance as well. And so if we look at Azure as an example, which is, of course, our public cloud, Azure holds hundreds of compliance certifications across geographies, across different countries, across different industries. For example, if we look at GSMA as an example, Azure was the first hyperscaler to have GSMA certifications for storing and managing PII data. So for example, your SIM subscriber information. And again, that could be managed in the cloud. And then finally, is around agility. And this kind of goes to a lot of these points about how operators are going to monetize this. Because with the agility that the cloud provides, now CSPs can really easily deploy and manage video and gaming services, boom, right in the cloud, which now allows them to rapidly introduce new services. It allows them to quickly respond to changes in customer demand, right? So they can, they're not building out, huge data center servers here. You're basically just allocating resources in the cloud as you need them. It gives you that ability to launch services and monetize them more quickly. So overall, the cloud's going to help the CSPs manage this data more effectively and provide a high quality video gaming experience by offering greater scalability, cost savings, reliability, performance, security, and agility.
Well-rounded. Thank you very much. No, do appreciate that, because what you're bringing here is even more capabilities to this partnership that we're able to bring out to CSPs, especially as they look at ML and AI more and more this coming year. I'm cognizant of time, and we really are. We're getting to the end. So I think I'm going to start here with you, Daniele, because I know this next topic is important to you. So what is the evolution, do you believe, of QoE, and how this access to AI-driven QoE data, like Nokia's AI for video-based services solution does provide, how's this going to help CSPs generate new business? I'll start with you.
Right. So I think there are several ways to generate new business for utilizing this data. Of course, what also Rick mentioned, the having an API with this kind of data can be, of course, a source of business for third-party companies who are interested in such kind of data, especially because, as we said before, the data we have today is end-to-end and as well geolocated. So it has a lot of opportunities. It can be a killer, you can build killer applications and from marketing and commercial standpoint. So you really have a lot of opportunities there in this sense on how to monetize this data. But definitely, it can be also a source for making new joint ventures with famous OTT players like Netflix or like Disney Plus, or just to mention some of them, or YouTube. You can, let's say, really reutilize this data for multiple purposes. Then about the evolution of QoE, that this is, let's say, quite interesting aspect, because we mentioned at the beginning, and here Nabil was saying, yes, we had the counters in the past and also today, where we were looking at the network element data. And from there, definitely it was impossible to talk about quality of experience. We were looking at the performance at the network element level, and these you couldn't really understand if the customer was watching well video or not through these indicators. Then we moved from there to the subscriber data, like layer 3 self-trace data per subscriber, and over there you could have a partial idea of QoE, because you can, of course, see the performance per device or per subscriber while, for instance, you're doing a voice call or doing a data call. It is partial, not really the killer QoE. Thanks then to the use of probes and analyzing the user plane and applying models to define the QoE, you could, let's say, arrive to the definition, or really real definition of the quality of experience. And they are where we are today. But what is the next point? The next generation of quality of experience will actually derive from this end-to-end data collection into another dimension. We will really need to catch the emotions of the users while watching the content. And this is actually becoming a reality with the introduction of the metaverse. So through these visors, you can actually identify even the emotions of the user while watching the application. You can see the smile, you can see if he has fear, if he is liking the application or not. So we will move in the future from the standard quality of experience per subscriber to even quality of experience per application. So where the CSPs will be able not only to measure the QoE as defined today from the standards, but also to really catch the user's emotion while watching the application. And this is, let's say, something new, a new dimension. I know that there are several points of research here, and there are many universities who are investing in this direction to understand how to capture the emotions of the users while watching a particular application, especially talking about 360 video and about XR or VR kind of applications.
Thank you very much. That's intriguing. Definitely want to see how that evolution turns out. Rick, I'm going to move on to you. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this and any final comments you might have too.
Thanks, Stephanie. So we've covered so much in the last few minutes, not too much for me to add here, but maybe let me make this short, and I'll focus more on the generating new business part of the question. So as 5G began emerging, operators began making large investments in their network infrastructure. Of course, it was just the next G, right? But the lion's share of the network capacity that was planned for video traffic. That's what really the network was built for. And so interestingly, the aspiration of operators was to use this infrastructure for digitally transforming various other industries. We talked about, healthcare and manufacturing and so forth, but this aspiration, I think, is beautifully aligned with edge computing, which is an area that Microsoft and Nokia have been very focused on, with video. And so, that also includes, video analytics, the quality of experience. And edge computing, I think, is the catalyst that's going to lead to this convergence between the cloud and the network, right? And so video QoE is really the perfect service for 5G operators to host on their edge computing infrastructure. It's going to lead to new revenue opportunities for them.
Thank you. How about to you, Nabil?
Hey, Stephanie, I could see your body language when Daniele was explaining the evolution now towards metaverse, where really the emotions of users, it's playing an important role. And actually, I would like to complement what both Daniele and Rick said from a different angle, from a delivery one, because they said a lot about the quality of experience and the evolution. And if I summarize, we started with counters, then we moved to subscriber data, then software components to analyze the data. And now we are, I would say, more than evolution, is a revolution toward the metaverse, to really see what are the feelings and what is the experience of our users while watching the content. And from a delivery perspective, that is playing also an important role for our CSPs, because that has to be cost efficient, like Rick said in the previous section when he was explaining the cloud. So we need really to understand what is the most efficient way to deliver such expectation from the end user. So there is really a complex architecture behind it. We talk about data collection, we talk about platform setup, we talk about use case setup, and it can continue through different milestones of delivery, like data ingestion, like training, ML, and we end up in reporting or insight. Customer wants to understand really what are those emotions, what are those feelings. And that means definitely there is only one way to do that, which is transforming the delivery model. Really continuous automation of data analysis, very structured ML pipeline. From operations point of view, we really need to work on the CI/CD and use it to always analyze the data on real time. That means, in other words, less human being touch, less human being interaction. So all in all, in order to ensure or leverage all that new concept or use cases that are being now used to address this area of a quality of experience, from Nokia, from Ava team, we support with our platform, we support with our delivery model, transformational delivery model, the complete automation and a continuous automation in order to ensure, I insist, and all this data is treated in the right way and addressed to bring the value expected by our customers.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you very much to each of you for all your time and for your insights today. And I have to say it again, special thank you to Rick from Microsoft for joining us today.